Hello. Last March I felt like painting, so I did a lot of that. I'm not going to be talking too much about the process of these paintings because they all took about a day or two and I entered a fugue state and I really can't remember what I did to make these outside of what I documented to post online later. So I don't have too much information about the process actually, but I've made 6 paintings last March, save for this one. This is not part of that. This was a multi-month project. These were all just like a day or two little paintings to figure out my style and experiment and just have fun with painting again. As I talk about this, I will be adding visual elements on the screen so you can actually see the paintings that I'm talking about. There are 6 total, and there is one that is currently off of the screen right now, so like, you know, you'll be able to see them in better detail up close and know what I'm actually talking about. Anyways, these were all made with Apple Barrel acrylic paints, save for like a couple of paints in my palette that were not from Apple Barrel, just whatever. But they were all acrylic. I don't believe that I did a like concept, like preliminary sketch for all of them, but I do know that I did one for this piece, as well as I believe this piece back here. I know I definitely did concept sketching for the piece that you can't see off screen right now, and then I don't believe that I did any for the one up top over there, as well as the one down here behind me, and I don't think I did for any on the side over there either, because that one was just very impromptu in general. Some of them were limited palette, but not all of them. It was very fun to try limited palette with some of these, but, you know, like I said, not all of them. Some of them required, like, more than that. The first one that I made very early in the month was the one right behind me here, and this one was finished on, I want to say, the 6th. Oh, that's really nice of me to cover up the date. That's really easy. So I just had to check every single one because I put all of the dates in the absolute worst places. But this one was done on the 4th. There's not too much to say about it. It's a very limited palette piece. I believe there were only 4 colors. I'll put them on screen now. But with this one, I just wanted to do something really simple. I didn't even plan on having like any of the blue in it at first, but I thought it was like a little visually boring without it. I wanted to add a little bit of depth that way, and I also liked the way that it complemented with this kind of creamish off-white color that I was using, because I didn't want it to be like just purely white, and I didn't want to use just purely black. I did mix the black with the blue that I ended up using, as well as mixing the blue very frequently into the white that I was using. I also added little elements of this kind of silverish pigment around like her necklace and her dress, so that whenever this room catches the sun throughout the day, it'll shine and reflect as the day goes by. Which I think has been really fun. It's nice to look at as the sun goes down. This piece is really simple, like I said. It's just my character Patsy in her human form, descending down a bunch of stairs. There's some light, and then there is a door at the end of it. There's the moon, there's some stars, and she's wearing this, like, slip that, like, when I was painting this, I had to look away from it, which, like, there's literally nudity all over these walls. There's everything actually all over these walls, and yet this one felt so like erotic. I had to like look away from it when I was working on it, which is like literally just because she's in a nightgown and she's a character that I associate with like the 1940s and 1950s, and so that felt very risque. Completely unnecessary tangent. But anyways, simple piece. She's walking out of this light forward towards us, the viewer. The next piece that I worked on was also a limited palette piece. It was this one, which is my character Phyllis, also in her human form, standing in front of this river that is starting to mix with a bunch of blood towards the edge, like near the viewer. My hope was that Phyllis would draw the viewer's eye towards the center, and then as you would look out, there's things like a deer corpse and all of these rotting apples and like decay. There's these vultures surrounding her, and then there's also these characters, Kent and Tatiana, who I have depicted as cherubs. Tatiana is tossing some red poppies, while Kent is tossing some honeysuckle. Kent, however, is choking and dying, and Tatiana has her back turned away to the scene. Phyllis is also looking away from it. The moon is out despite it being daytime, and Phyllis has, if you look closely, these this Y incision and suture marks down her body. I wanted it to be something that, you know, at first glance, it's like, oh, there's these rainbows and these flowers and this beautiful grass and these trees and this water, and then, you know, you look at it a little bit longer and you're like, oh, well, everything around it is dying and decaying. I thought that would be fun for me to play around with, so That's all that piece is. I think I ended up using 4 colors for this one. I'll put them on screen now, but it was really fun. I did not expect it to give me the range that it did, but the green that I chose ended up kind of working like a yellow sometimes, and it just blended really beautifully in this way that I liked, and I was happy to do the rainbow border because I didn't think that I was going to be able to do that. That's not something that I went into it planning to do. So that was very fun to play around with and just see where that piece took me. I think that one had the fastest turnaround. It still took about a day, but like it was only a few hours. It didn't extend into like 2 days. The next piece that I completed was this one up here, and I finished that one on the 8th. This one was very fun because I did something that I don't normally do, and I tried to be a bit more abstract and like take notes from like Impressionism and stuff like that. I had a lot of fun just, you know, really emphasizing the brush strokes and having fun with texture, and it was very fun to make this like illusion of the horses in the clouds and stuff like that. And it was also, you know, good to get side profile practice in because it always is. I also really struggle with drawing hats, and so this was fun practice for that too. I don't really have much to say about this other than the palette was really fun. I feel like I don't normally work with like warm colors in this way, and it was very fun to experiment with this piece, and honestly I am a lot happier with it than I thought that I would be. The next one that I completed was on the 20th, and that was this one right here, which unintentionally, at least when I had started working on it, it was not supposed to be a companion piece to this one. It was just supposed to like pair nicely because it's near it on the wall, but I was like, well, I could make it pair with it, and that would be really fun because there is a lot of space down here, and it would be nice to utilize it and make just like a more complete feeling piece connected that way. So in this piece and the last piece, which I had forgot to mention, the focus character in both is my character Gregor in his human form, and up there are his 3 horses. However, unlike in the first picture that I showed you where he's all happy and smiling and looking at his horses in the sun, here he is cold and alone and he has died. Aww. And so he is sitting here with a little like shotgun blast spatter around him, and I tried to make it vaguely in the shape of like a snow angel or something, you know, kind of like these angel wings, but it didn't quite pan out that way. That's okay though, I still like how it looks. I ended up just changing course partially through painting it because it's so small. Anyways, and then there are his 3 hunting dogs surrounding him, and then surrounding those are these 6 deer, and then there are his 3 horses fleeing away, as well as, how many of these fucking things are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. As well as 9 vultures circling his body. And then I wanted to tie in this circle here, and so, you know, following the curves of this rainbow over on this top piece, I tried to connect this stream down here, this like frozen over little stream that leads to this bridge, which leads to the sun, which is directly across from this moon up here in this top piece. I had an absolute blast working with this. I love to work with these cooler colors like blues and stuff like that. Always so fun for me. I really love a good blue. And it was fun doing like the little pops of color, trying to use as little red as possible to really make that stand out, and then placing, you know, these little berries, these little winter berries on the trees surrounding the picture, and having that help draw your eye towards the red in the center. I also had a lot of fun tying these little bows and, you know, tacking up these little borders to put on it because I thought it would just make it feel a lot more complete, and at least to me it does. So I was really happy with that. There's not much more to say about this piece other than I had a lot of fun painting something upside down. That's not something that I really ever do. So this was really fun, you know, looking at it and then looking at it from afar and like turning my head and being like, okay, does that look normal? And then coming back to it and then taking a picture and rotating it. It was a fun process. I really enjoyed this one. I think that this is, you know, this definitely was the one with the longest turnaround. This one definitely took me a minute. But it was fun. I really had a blast, and I am so happy with how it ended up pairing with this one up top here. The next one that I worked on was the one over there that unfortunately you can't see from this angle, but it should be on screen now. And this is my character Bobby, also in her human form like everybody else. And she is running through this city at night that has been like covered in rain. It's this very blurry in motion scene. She's running ahead of the viewer and turning her head back and kind of like laughing and smiling. And we're supposed to be having a little romp, a little chase, and having fun. She is running into the middle of the street, but you know, there are no cars, so she'll be okay. She's fine. I actually had so much fun painting the street. I don't remember the last time that I did like a rainy scene like this, or a rainy scene on like asphalt specifically, and I just had an absolute blast, and I really loved playing around making the lights feel like super melty. I wanted it to have this kind of dreamy feeling because the initial scene did come to me from a dream that I had, and I don't usually make a bunch of art based on the dreams that I have, but this one just really stuck out to me, where I was chasing someone around trying to talk to them and ask them questions, but they just kept laughing and turning their head around, and they kept going, and I could never catch them to ask them what I wanted to ask. And that really stuck with me when I woke up, and I ended up putting my character Bobby in the place of the figure, and it was just really fun to paint, just this nonsensical little dream thing where she's running through the middle of the street with no cars in it. And honestly, there wasn't really much of a point to painting it other than to draw this character smiling and having fun and having a good time, because I always get joy from drawing my characters doing that. So, simple piece, I like it, it was fun. The final one that I did was this one behind me over here, and that is my character Sandra, again in her human form. This is her in her resurrected state, which is when the fellow people that she lives with on the commune she's on have preserved her body in a way, and they have it on display, and that is the scene that you see there. Again, just a really simple scene. You can see kind of this pit that is in front of her that you can walk down into, and you can see this dark streak going from out of the pit and around it in front of Sandra. I had so much fun using a lot of like neutral beige, like kind of cream tones was really fun, and then contrasting it with this like almost neon pink underneath with like red on top. It was just really fun making things pop in that piece, and I really liked that palette a lot. I had a lot of fun making the really exact lines of the stairs, like the staircase and the borders of the pit, because I usually don't worry too much about being super exact and like clean with my work in that way, and so to have to sit down and like make sure that I got all these angles correctly, and you know, make sure that the shading is correct and follows a certain direction, and these angles are really sharp and that they really create a sense of space. That was fun. I really liked it. It was a really good exercise to sit there and not be messy with it, and to really think about what I was doing. So, that's it. All done. Like I said, very brief, very quick. I don't have much to say about these things other than they were a blast to paint, and hopefully I will be painting more soon. I think the next project that I have is, I'm working on a mascot for my podcast. I don't know, that was really hard for me to word for some reason, but I was definitely supposed to paint that a long time ago, and now our microphones are getting here this week and we're supposed to record, and I don't have my mascot painted, but that's okay. I'll finish it, you know, eventually when I feel like it, maybe one day. But for now, these are the paintings that I have completed. I also, even though I did not paint this one in March, I was like getting really pissed off with how easily it fell apart, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna tack this shit to the wall, and so I did, because I was tired of it just like falling apart all the time, and so I was like, you know what, I think that putting some pins in this would just fix that problem, and I'm very glad that I did, because it just looks so much cleaner now. It looks a lot better, and it doesn't like fall down at 3 in the morning and hit me in the head. So I would consider that an improvement personally. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye bye.